Next question, Pastor, where do Christians go when they die? This question has been around for a long while, and some of these you would think would be answered from the pulpit. But sadly enough, and one of the reasons for this particular aspect of Rapha is that many pulpits are silent. Many pulpits are drifting into psychological and sociological teachings anymore, and they're straying from answering the biblical questions and preaching biblical truth, so that there's much lack of understanding within the pew in many churches. And of course, demonic activity comes into play. Maybe we'll address that at some point later on, which steal the word from people. So there's a genuine question out there as to where Christians go when they die. In Philippians chapter 1, in verse 23, Paul is speaking, and he says, I'm in a strait, which means a hard-pressed point, between two options, having a desire to depart and to be with Christ, which is far better. So he's fighting a battle within himself, excuse me, and he's saying, there's a need for me to be here, but it's far better if I go to be with Christ. So the obvious answer to the question is that when Paul says, which is the man who wrote two-thirds of the New Testament, and certainly he should have an understanding in this area since Jesus himself taught him that the moment that a Christian dies, he's with the Lord. And Paul is struggling whether it's better for him to stay here and minister or to just go ahead and be with the Lord. And he says to go to be with the Lord is far better. And of course, we as Christians, inherently we know this. Inherently, intuitively, we understand that to go to be with the Lord and get out of all of the conflicts and all of the mental problems, get away from all the sicknesses and disease, get away from having the pains and the struggle, the aging process, and all of the social problems that we have, the mental conflicts. It's just far better to go be with the Lord. But also in our Christian maturity, we understand Paul's tribulation of heart in that even I myself, I feel that myself. It would be far better to be with the Lord because we have so many loved ones there and to be with the Lord. But there's a lot of ministry yet to do. There's a lot of unsaved people. There are a lot of things that we can tell the world about God's healing power, God's saving power, the fact that God can give us peace in a world that's just full of turmoil and problems. So it is good for us to be here in that sense, but it's much better to go to be with the Lord. And again, the same one who wrote that, Paul, writes 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 8, where he says, we are confident, I say, rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord. And I think I touched that just a moment ago. The being absent and being present with the Lord, no divisible point between that. So it's we willing rather to go be with the Lord and just enjoy that bliss, and then to look forward to what God has said, how He's going to use us as part of His called out ones in the future. So I hope that maybe brings a little enlightenment if you've been dealing with that question.